this is some of the documentation that I got with this bundle. Some different disk drives here, and I think he said he had a lot of different Commodore stuff that he got rid of. It's nice to have another user's guide. That my spiral bind is a little, it's been around, let's just say. But I didn't get any of that equipment with it. I didn't get a 1571 disk drive or anything like that. But the 1541 manual must go with the drive that I got. It's a Commodore 64 plus 4. It's a reference card. Kind of a quick start guide there. How to connect everything up. There you go. Unit warranty registration. Suppose it's still valid? Different service centers in all across the United States. The different warranty cards here. There were a lot of different Commodore systems, and that's not the serial number to the 64 that I have. But it looks like again he had a lot of different systems and a lot of duplicate systems and things like that. So this must be must have just kind of been collected paperwork. And I just double checked here. We're gonna just check to see if the serial number matched, and of course it didn't. It wasn't for that particular system. So. I apologize for the flashing in the video. I'm not sure what was going on with my camera at the time. It seemed to think it wanted to adjust for different lighting conditions or something. So, now this is some CompuServe documentation that apparently they did have a VIC modem of some sort. This all came with a Commodore 64. And different services and packages and things were bundled with it. Looks like there's a Rapid City number for South Dakota. That's the only one. Interesting, Rapid City had it before Sioux Falls. Apparently, CompuServe is an HR block company. Who'd have thunk it? And this is a rate card. Looks like 300 baud, and let's say $6 an hour to connect during prime time. $6 an hour. People, there were people making a minimum wage were making about half that time or less. Yeah, some of the prices here are just ridiculous when we think about it nowadays. But this is very, very early times. What is that? Dow Jones News Retrieval. This is where you could dial up and connect to Dow Jones directly. I'll get to that in a minute. Commodore Information Network. Basically like a bulletin board system. Which is basically all that you could do with these. You subscribe to them and you connect to them, and they provided different services. Early times for the internet. If you ever seen War Games, that's very similar. You just dialed up to different things. Another warranty registration card. Business reply registration for CompuServe. It's just neat, some of the stuff that the documentation and things that come with these systems. And of course, this is Dow Jones and Company Incorporated. You can do stock trades and get information and things like that. Of course, very, very early times. That's a lot of that's just miscellaneous information. Now here's a pamphlet. Tells you how the service works. Interesting, they covered up that Apple II. They covered up that Apple II, but they bundled it with a Commodore, which is interesting. Financial and investment services. Journal news and information services. So again, something else you could subscribe to. Yeah. Again, this is an Apple II screen. It's definitely not a Commodore screen. You can tell by the way it's displaying information there, or how the screen is. They definitely seem to be fanboys of the Apple computer. Not a Commodore to be seen, though. Although I suppose it's good enough that it worked on your Commodore, huh? So we're going to go ahead and show you that floppy disk. And this also came in a box, which is awesome. It's the same box that my 1541 came in, but my 1541 was the beige kind. When I originally owned my Commodore, it was the beige floppy. So we'll pull off the styrofoam there, and it at least comes with a power cord. and a data cord. Now it's interesting that it looks like this case is going to need some retro bright. It's very, very yellowed, very, very dirty. Yeah, but it's kind of a later model 1541 because it has the beige or the white drive mechanism, but it's the same case as the beige type. It was pretty much the same case as the beige ones. It looks like there was this was stacked on top of another drive because you'll see the fin indents there. And I did open this up. I'm not going to show you that, but I did open this up and verified. Yes, indeed, it is actually a Drive 9. Somebody had taken the time to readdress this particular drive. Now I'll show you the C2N data set that I got, and it's an older style. It probably came with the VIC-20, would be my guess. And this will also need some retro bright as well. It's kind of the connector is a little more primitive than some of the C2Ns, the nice rounded ones. The wires on the connector are a little bit chewed up there, but we can probably fix that. It looks like the wires are intact. It should. I would imagine that it would work. And it looks like there were some mounting screws. It might have been able to be mounted into maybe a Commodore PET. It's hard to say. The gold and white seem to match the VIC-20's colors. So this definitely came with a VIC-20, would be my guess. Let's blow some dust off there and looks to be in pretty good shape. Probably definitely needs to be cleaned up. I do have one game on tape, but this should work with either the Commodore 64 or the VIC-20. This is one of the printers that I got. This is a 1526 printer. And I spent hours searching to try and find ribbon for it. It looks like I may have found some, but most of the places that I looked at either didn't, they were out of stock, or there were places that manufactured it for a while and just have it on their site for reference. One of the things I'm going to try and do, I found a similar ribbon that's very close to it. I may try to reload the ribbon with a standard fabric ribbon. This did not come in a box. I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in and we'll see how it works. And it definitely powers up. See the head moving back and forth there. The ribbon is actually a film ribbon, so people have said, well, why don't you re-ink it? Well, if it was a fabric ribbon, I probably would, but the film ribbons, you can't re-ink. It's a matter of replacing it. Again, I found one very similar at a Radio Shack in Rock Valley, Iowa. One of the few Radio Shacks that are left. And they happen to have a bunch of old parts and accessories and things like that. Now this is the VIC 1525 graphic printer that I managed to get, and this came with a box. The box is in pretty sad shape, but it's remarkable that it even came in a box. It looks like somebody was shooting at this box at one point with BBs or bow and arrow or something, stabbing holes in it with a screwdriver. But it doesn't appear to have affected the printer any. There's no marks on the printer itself. So there you go. It is a completely intact printer. Does have a ribbon, a fabric ribbon with it that looks like it's in pretty decent shape. Probably could be re-inked. I had a little trouble pulling it out of the box here. A lot of these I did open the box up and just kind of examine them beforehand to kind of know what to expect. And this actually smelled very similar to the Commodore and the VIC 20 that I bought. Like it'd been in storage for quite a while. Now I keep in mind the pawn shop that I bought it from did not smell like these particular devices. So I knew it didn't come from the pawn shop. It must have been in storage or use for a very long time in a kind of an older home, or like I said, probably maybe a church. It's in really decent shape, a really clean printer as well. At this point, I hadn't plugged it in. I had looked at it, but I hadn't actually plugged it in. So we'll go ahead and plug this in and see what it does. So I see it move back and forth there.